All right, the Steel-Tek structure is going pretty well. I'm really kind of playing it by ear as I go along. Did want to show you how thick the steel is. The steel is pretty substantial. I don't know what gauge it is. So this has been a bit of a milestone, even though it's temporary. It is, let's just say this, I don't need the piece of wood to hold the steering wheel up anymore. So that is definitely a milestone. It's not permanently in there, but it is in a good driving position for me. The tilt is going to work. It's just temporarily stuck in there, but I am going to build additional brackets to hold these mounting points in the back, and I'll make additional brackets here. Once all this is pretty much in place the way I want it, everything's bolted in, I'll go ahead and weld it. And as you can see on the other side, it's supported by the actual Explorer itself. I don't have anything being supported by the cab because I haven't welded the cab in yet. So I wanted everything to be in place, get the cab right. And as you can see, the cab is pretty close to being level. So if you can go by that, I left my levels in another location. I was doing some work, so I really can't tack it in or anything right now. So hence the mounting of all the Steel-Tek structure to the cab. Also wanted to point out that in this area, in areas like here, once I get the cab welded in really well, I'll tie these together, and I'll tie all of this together so it'll be solid. I'll weld all these points on the connection pieces, and it'll work pretty good. Now, if it's a lot like in a erector set. So when you were a kid, you were playing with it and just bolting things together and making it all work. And I like that. I like that a lot. Except I'm planning on leaving it in here. But what you could do is once you get it all in place the way you like it, you could pull it out and take some square channel and build it to these specifications and measurements that you have here. I mean, that's another option. And that would work pretty well. And but I love it. I love this stuff. This stuff's pretty cool. Yeah, this is just temporary holding the whole thing together. So what you can do is you can take some of these pieces like that. Let me see if we can get in there and see that. You take some of those pieces and actually bolt it to the truck cab as well, and so you could bolt that along up in this area right here. Sorry, it's very difficult to hold the light and do the video at the same time. So let's put the light up here. So yeah, you could bolt, and let's put the light where it's more useful. Okay, so, and you could bolt this rail here, bolt that rail to here. And this is actually very strong considering its age. The gauge of the steel is pretty thick, so it still has substantial structure there. So you could bolt it all together, weld it all together, whatever you choose to do. But I think the idea is going to work pretty well. One thing I'd like to point out is sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes things work out better than you expect, and sometimes it goes horribly wrong every time you do something. So in this case, I wanted to show you that I wanted to remove this transmission cover here to see how much structure was in the transmission tunnel, to see how much, how strong it was, and to see what I was up against. Also wanted to see what was underneath it as to why they even put this cover on it anyhow. So I just removed the four screws on it, took the cover off. And as you can see, there's connectors for the transmission and for the O2 sensors. But I did get lucky in that there were two holes, one here and one here, that were the exact right spacing for this Steel-Tek base. So I just put 2 bolts in from the backside. I'll have to drill out the transmission tunnel for those bolts, but it was great not having to start out drilling holes and playing around with all that. So it was a nice thing that, you know, that every now and then you can run across stuff like that, and it just makes your project go a little bit better. So I'm thankful for those little gifts, so to speak, that you get that help the project move along.